sponsor, Parati's Quality Meats, located in Cranford, New Jersey, serving customers all over New Jersey for the past 50 years. Welcome to another edition of Coach's Talk presented by the Shore Football Report. And today we have the head football coach of the Crimson Knights football program, Tony Grandinetti, here to talk on our show. Coach, thanks for coming on our show.
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, this is awesome. I'm excited, man. And I have the number one football team from last year on our football show. And Coach, you had to be pretty excited about getting the number one team last year.
Yeah, it's it's something, that's not something that we start the year when we make our goals. That's not something that we're looking to accomplish. We want to go 1-0 every week. The rankings, we kind of let the media take care of that stuff, but the way everything played out, we're proud of it. We're proud of finishing, ranked as the number one team in the state. But I'm more proud of just the way the guys fought, through that season last year, which everyone did, week to week. That's what we're proud of.
Man, you got a lot to be proud of, Coach, and that's what we're going to talk about today in the show. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to introduce you, and then you're going to talk about your process and how you became a head football coach. And then we get to talk about the great stuff that's going on at Wall. Is that right?
Sounds good.
All right, cool. Coach, this is your fifth football season at Wall, and in 4 years, you won 30 games. Very impressive. 2 division titles, 1 state championship in 2019, Central Jersey Group 3. You were 12-1. But last year, there were no state titles. But instead, what did you do? You were 7-0 last year. You won the short conference championship, first time ever we did it. So you won that first over. And then you became the number one team in New Jersey during the COVID season. Pretty impressive. I think last year you would have won a, knock on wood, that state championship too. But the short conference championship was something that was still pretty good and proud of, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was, given the year that we had last year with the pandemic, I think the shore conference got it right. I think, to have that final pod, where they took the 4 best teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a great opportunity for the best teams, to battle it out and try to, crown that short conference championship. I thought it was a lot of fun. I know that, and the way it ended, the final game against Donovan, I know it was a great battle. So yeah, we were happy. Like I said, we were just happy that one, we got to have a season and got to play some football. But, to step up and execute and take care of business the way we did, we're proud of that.
Oh, there's a lot of good football teams in the short conference, and winning a short conference championship may be as more impressive than winning a state championship. Not downplaying the state championship, but there's some very good teams in the short conference, Coach, and you know that. You're one of them, too. Yep.
Absolutely. One thing that the short conference championship does is, when we won in 2019, we won the Group 3. And, Group 3 is a very competitive group. But when you talk about the short conference, we have everything from Group 5s all the way down to Group 1s, and we have, the 4 parochials. So, there's a lot of good football, quality football, great coaches, great players, great tradition. So, yeah, it was an honor, to come out on top of that.
Coach, again, I'm not going to try and jinx you. I'm just going to throw facts out there. Did some research, and you have a 20-game short conference winning streak of you haven't lost, knock on wood, since 2018, and you have a great football team right now too, and there's a lot of great excitement going on in your program, and you should be proud of that. I know you don't want to talk about past stuff, but that's something that you've been a part of, and you got to be proud of something like that, having a big streak like that.
Yeah, and I think it speaks about our program. And it goes all the way back to 2016 when I first started at Wall. 2017 was my first year as the head coach, and then 2018 when that streak started. It just goes back to show it's the program. It's not just the current team. It's it's the guys that came before you. It's living up to the tradition, setting the standard that they set, and living up to that standard week in, week out.
Yeah, Coach. And we're going to talk more about your team, but you have 2 guys that graduated that, everybody knows. You have Casey Lorkin, who perhaps could be the best football player ever at Wall that graduated. You have Logan Peters, one of the great football players too, to help you win a state championship. Um, but they graduate and you still have bigger expectations without them. I think that says a lot about what you've built. You have such a great number of core players back. Losing those two players and still have those expectations and probably a chip on your shoulder, which is scary for everybody out there. You got to be excited about the stuff that you built.
Yeah, definitely. We we don't rely on one single player. Now, with that being said, Casey and Logan were two great players, very great players, and we're not going to replace them. You can't replace those types of players. But we have a lot of good football players, a lot of good football players, and you kind of said we have a chip on our shoulder, and guys have been hearing it all off season that the run's over, Casey and Logan are gone. But we have a lot of guys who want to prove that we're a good football team, even without those big names. Because we do. We have either 17 or 18 starters coming back. We have a lot of experience coming back, and we have something to prove. I know it's not every year where you come off a year like we had that we're a little angry, and we don't have a great taste in our mouth right now.
Coach, we were joking around before. I want to come to your practice, not to watch your whole practice, just your inside drill with your low linemen, your D linemen, your linebackers, and the physicality of your team. Just give me 10, 15 minutes, and I'll leave, and I'll be happy because your individual, your group run would probably be something very impressive to watch from a spectator standpoint.
It's the best part of practice. I'm not going to lie to you, Rob. Our inside run, it's and the way we run practice is, if we're running offensive inside run, we get best of the rest out there on defense, and we strap it up, mouthpieces are in, and we get after it. So it is a very good part, and the offensive coaches, we're competitive, and the defensive coaches are competitive. So it's not just the players getting involved. It's the coaches as well, and everything's on film, and we get after it.
Oh, sometimes the best, with programs like that, sometimes the best play is during a practice opposed to a game. You just had so much firepower in the trenches, and those guys don't get a lot of recognition out in the world out there. But we know as well as you do that you got some studs. You got some studs, and there's no sandbagging here. You got some talent, Coach, and I can't wait to talk about them later on in this show. Let me finish up the what I was talking about with you is what you got Division Coach of the Year 2 times. In 2019, you were the Short Conference Coach of the Year, and in 2020, last year, you were Friday. And correct me if I'm wrong. Friday Night Football, which covers all of New Jersey, the State Coach of the Year. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's got to be something you got to be proud of, Coach, because that's not just a reflection of you. That's your whole program and your coaches and all that. To be recognized as Coach of the Year for New Jersey during the COVID season, and you finished as the #1 ranked team in New Jersey. That's an awesome, awesome accomplishment.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And those awards, I know, my name gets attached to those, but that's a we award. That's not a me award. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without my coaching staff. Me personally, I'm biased, but I feel like I have the best coaching staff, out there. I wouldn't replace those guys with anyone. I can't do what I do without them. We work well together. We work great together. And then it also goes down to the kids and the parents and the community, the administration at school. Everyone, knows my mission, and they all believe in it, and they all support me. So, again, I know my name's on the award, but that's a Wall football award.
Yeah, and that's great, Coach. Before you became the head football coach, you were a loyal assistant for 1 year, and you won a state championship that year too, didn't you?
Correct. 2016 was my first year at Wall, and Coach Curcione brought me in as the O-line coach. I had gotten a job at Wall, teaching job at Wall, and I talked to Coach Curcione, and Dan and I were we hadn't known each other, and I just reached out to him, and I got the job, and I said I'd love to help out anywhere I can, and he had an opening on the offensive line, which I had experience with, a lot of experience with. And it worked out. We had a great year that year. finishing 10-2, and the South Jersey
Mm-hmm.
Group 3 champions. And that was just a great year. And that was my first experience in the Shore Conference, and it was a great one. It was a lot of fun that year.
And the rest is history. It must have been pretty nice. First year, state title, and a lot more coming down the road too. Before that, coach, you're a South Jersey guy, Morristown, which is in South Jersey, Burlington Township, right?
Burlington County, yeah,
Burlington
Morristown,
County.
New Jersey.
Yep. 2 years.
Down there in South Jersey. I'm a South Jersey guy, like you said. So, I played at Cherokee, but my coaching in high school, most of it was at Morristown.
Yep, you were 2 years there and as a special teams coach. And then prior to that, you were at Haddon Township as the DC for 1 year. And then prior to that, for 2 years, you were at Morristown, where you started your coaching. You were a head freshman coach and then became the varsity assistant. And then that's that. So that takes us to now the process where I want you to tell everybody, how did you get to be the head coach at Wall? And start, coach, the very first time that football was even passed on to you. It could be Pop Warner, youth football, high school, wherever you started, and take us through every stop and people that influenced you to be a successful head coach that you are at Wall. Go ahead.
I'll tell you, we're going to go back. I'm 42 years old. We're going to go back
You're
42
young.
years. Yeah, we're going to go back 42 years because, there's pictures of me as a baby, holding a football. I've loved this game since day one. I've always loved the game. I've always followed the game. I started playing football when I was 7 years old down in Marlton, New Jersey. I know around here, not a lot of people know where Marlton is, but it's in Burlington County. It's right next to Cherry Hill, about 20, 25 minutes outside of Philadelphia. So I started playing at 7 years old for that program, and that program feeds into Cherokee. So I played all through my youth from second grade all the way to eighth grade for Marlton. I played every position. I loved it. I finished up seventh and eighth grade years, being a quarterback, just because of my knowledge of the game. I was always a student of the game. That took me to Cherokee, and if you know anything about Cherokee, and you talk about some quality programs, not just in South Jersey but within the state. Cherokee is up there, and if you come to a practice at Wall, and you know anything about Cherokee, you're going to see a lot of similarities of what I preach every day, and it's a lot of the stuff that I learned in my time at Cherokee. It was a great experience, and just to live that tradition of Cherokee, and I actually have a new, stay in touch with a lot of guys down there. We're actually scrimmaging them this year. And it's just a pride that you hear, when you play for Cherokee, when you wear that orange, it's a brotherhood for life. And that's it's something, that was instilled in me, and that's something that I wanted to build. It was always a goal that I wanted to get into coaching, and at one point just build a program, a high school program that, is built on tradition, but it's also built on hard work and the family environment, brotherhood that we preach all the time now. After Cherokee, I played quarterback at Cherokee. I know, guys always joke around with me. Really, you're a quarterback? Because when I went to college, I put a couple pounds on, and I was not a quarterback anymore. I went to fullback. I actually went to Westchester for 1 year, walked on there, and I actually transferred to Delaware Valley College. It's now Delaware Valley University. I played fullback there for a couple years. Loved it. And that's where I really fell in love with the process, the grind, as we call it now, of full year, the training that we do, the off season conditioning, the weight room. That's where I really fell in love with not just the game of football, but just the process. I took kind of a different journey than your typical teacher and coach. I wasn't an education major. I was a business major. I played football through college. I majored in business. When I graduated, I didn't get a teaching job and start coaching right away. I actually owned my own business. I owned a landscaping company. And I did that for years. I had that itch and I stayed involved in the youth program in Marlton back home, which is a feeder program for the Cherokee program. So, I stayed involved that way, helping out at some youth camps, eventually coaching in their youth program. And one of my guys, one of my mentors, my high school coach was a big influence on me. John Scott.
Mhm.
But then once I started working with the youth program and started working with Cherokee a little bit, PJ Megan was a big influential coach in my life. Helping me out, getting started in the coaching world, and just we love football, we play football, but everyone's got to realize when we start coaching, we're not players anymore. And to stand there and say, well, just do it this way because this is what I did, that's not coaching. Coaching is very different. And PJ was a great part of my experience. Teaching me, not just how to coach, but different strategies and different techniques to get across to all players. And then that took me, that's when I really decided that I want to take this on. I never wanted to own my own business the rest of my life. I wanted to get into coaching full time, and that's when I decided to go back and become a teacher and become a high school coach. And that's where Morristown stepped in, and I started out as a assistant teacher, job coach position, but that's where I started coaching high school football. And I worked with Russ Horton and down at Morristown, and I know he played in the Shore Conference. I think it was a Thompson Reese guy,
Yeah.
and he was the head coach there when when I was hired, and then eventually Bo Sherry took over, and those guys, I had great experiences with both of those guys, and I learned a lot. I always say every coaching experience, whether it's good or bad, you learn a lot. And I took notes. I was constantly taking notes because once I got that taste of coaching high school football, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And eventually I wanted to be a head coach. I had the chance to become a defensive coordinator at Haddon Township for 1 year. And, that was a great experience as well, where, the wins and losses didn't reflect that. But, for me, for my personal experience being an offensive guy, basically my whole life, um, for me to be on the defensive side of the ball and see a different perspective, that taught me a lot. And then I was able to get some coordinator experience as a defensive coordinator and then a special teams coordinator when I went back to Morristown.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like I said, every experience it taught me something. And then coming out here to Wall, working for Dan Curcione, and Coach Curcione was great. Letting me in, to the program, and I learned a lot from him, and just how to run a program, and the toughness that he instilled in all of our players. Um, but by the time that came, when the Wall job became open, um, there was not a doubt in my mind that one, I was applying for it, and I was confident in myself. I had been on other head coaching interviews, but I was ready. I was ready in my career, my teaching career, but I was ready in the football aspect as well. And it's not just the X's and O's. And Coach, it's the X's and O's are great and they're fun. That's what we love to do. But it's building something. We're in the people business, and the people happen to be 14 to 18-year-old boys playing this great sport. And it's building relationships with the kids, building that trust, and then building that culture. I can't stress enough how important the culture is, and that's something that I do take pride in at
Mm-hmm.
Wall, of how good the culture is, how good the standard is that we have set, and we're always bumping that standard up just a little bit, because that's what we expect from our coaches, from our players, from our community. And then I took over in 2017, and we've had some success. But like I said in my interview when I interviewed for Wall, is I don't want 1 year of success. I don't want 2 years of success. I want to span of a career of success, and I think we're on our way there, but we still have a lot of work to do, a lot of things to prove.
Coach, I'm going to say something. I'm going to throw this out there. 5 years ago, I think Wall made the right decision. So let's just throw that out there. And you've had some success. You're very, very modest about it. But let's talk about, you did talk about culture. You talk clinics of culture, talking about your what you've been developing in Wall. And the one thing took notes about when you said you started loving the grind when you were in college, and I know that's your MO at Wall, is the grind. You love to get sweaty and dirty and work hard. I know you were working out with the kids in the off season of COVID, with the videos and all that, because you did it because you love it and you believe in it. The kids bought into it. Do you feel that's very important in your success? The grind, the kids embracing the grind.
They love it. They absolutely love it. And, our culture isn't built on the practice field. It's not built on Friday nights. That's not where our culture is built. You see the results of our culture on the practice field and the game field. Our culture is built right at Wall High School,
Mm-hmm.
right down B hallway, right in that weight room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's where the grind takes place. And when we come in, we do our workouts and we get after it. And obviously now with COVID, there's some restrictions in there, but I mean, we get after it. There's some loud music. There's a lot of weight being pushed around. There's accountability.
Mm-hmm.
There's competition in there. That's what it's built. That's what this program is built on.
All right, Coach, I'm going to take this thing off. I'm sick of wearing the mask. I'm sure you were too. I don't want to hear nothing negative about COVID. Just tell me something positive that you and the Wall football program got out of last year's COVID season.
That one's a simple one for me. It's actually two things. It's adaptability. But there was a saying that I used. You could talk to any of the guys that were in the workouts, and one thing I stress to them all the time from the day that we shut down is control the controllables. From the very first day, we got on this Zoom meeting with what the heck was a Zoom meeting? We didn't know what that was that last year. But I said, gentlemen, we are going to play football. Are you going to be ready? You control the controllables. And what does that mean? It means don't sit there complaining about being shut down, complaining about not being in the weight room. All right, control what you can control. So what does that mean? Control your physical and mental health. And what we did is we started doing Zoom workouts. We weren't allowed in the weight room. Gyms were closed.
Wait,
you can even
Coach, wait, you're saying we. Explain we, because it was you too. So
yeah, bro, I gotta be honest. I was bored out of my mind too, just like they were. And I said we have to do something to keep that camaraderie. So 3 days a week, 3 or 4 days a week, I would have a Zoom workout, and I'm not gonna lie, they were terrible. We started out doing burpees. Then we did push-ups. Then we did, sit-ups and all kinds of body weight things. I basically based all the workouts for all the players that had nothing. They had nothing at home. All they needed was space and a computer. And I did them with them. And there was something to be said about that. Me doing them with them. They saw me sweating. They saw me struggling. But we did it together. The best part about those workouts was the 10 minutes before we started, the 10 minutes when we ended. Everyone stayed on, and it felt like a locker room again. Now, it was virtual, but it was guys busting on each other, guys asking how they're doing, guys just talking. It was that camaraderie, and as well as I do.
Yeah.
The X's and O's, the plays are great, but it's really the relationships that we build. So I was a part of it. I was a part of it. I did it with them. But we controlled the controllables. We didn't worry about, what we were going to be allowed to do, what we weren't going to be allowed to do. We controlled what we could control. And I think, to this day, I still say that, who knows what 2021 is going to look like in school, on the fields, stands. I want everything to be back to normal, but that's not in our control. So what's in our control? Our control is being physically and mentally prepared. So I think that's probably the best thing that we got out of COVID.
Coach. That's a good point when you said control the because we were not in control as head coaches
Right.
of our whole program, from parents to players to how were they do we don't know. We just had to go
Yeah.
by, some kids weren't responding to text messages or calls. Their phone was dead, maybe, or whatever. It was a very tough time. We had to trust
Yeah.
a lot of things out there. But I did hear about your workouts, and did you actually get some good gains out of it? You
Well, you know what? I think I ended up losing about 30 pounds.
started
I
looking
did.
like a
I
quarterback.
lost. Yeah, I lost a lot of weight. Um, like I said, the workouts were terrible, man. I mean, those guys, they hated them, but they loved them at the same time. And it's I got a lot of sayings. I got a lot of cliche sayings, but one of the things I said is get comfortable being uncomfortable.
We always
Um,
do that. Yeah.
and I preach that every day. Step out of your comfort zone. That's where you're going to find success. And like I said, the workouts were tough. They were uncomfortable, but you got to get comfortable in that state. So
Yeah.
it was fun. It was fun. I would not want to start doing them again now.
No, that coach, it's funny how you said it. That's the thing I echoed to my program for 18 years, feeling comfortable with being uncomfortable. And then last year really put it on us like, okay, now you got to put your words where what you've been saying all these years. But
Yeah,
very tough time. It was great to hear though some of the positives that were being
yeah.
taken out of with COVID. And of course, we know on the football field you did quite well too. All right, now, coach, if you could do me a favor and talk about the 2021 Wall High School football schedule on the left, and boy, that's a tough schedule. And then on the right is the newly formed American Division with a bunch of different faces, probably that you're not used to playing. So, Coach, you got the floor right now. Talk a little bit about your schedule.
Yeah, this year's schedule, it's something that the short conference has been doing the past couple of years, where they, realign the divisions after every year, based on, the competitiveness of each program. And um, I think that's great. I think, we look forward to the challenge every week. And, after looking at this schedule, as I'm about to talk about it, it is a challenge, and it's a challenge every week. And it's something that we as a program, this is what we want. We want to be challenged every week. Like I said, we got a lot to prove this year. We have a lot to prove this year, and we want to play the best teams. And I know there's a lot of other good teams out there,
Mm-hmm.
but this list of guys that we're playing, we think they're some of the best in the short. And even the out of conference games, we have one that's in a different conference. That's going to be a tough one as well. But opening up against Rumson, I was contacted by the Rumble on the Raritan committee and the NJFCA back in January, February, about playing this game, and I loved it. I loved it. Even though we give up a home game, that was originally scheduled on the 17th of September against Rumson, our home opener. Even though we lose that, I think we gained so much for being in this showcase. And it really is. It's a showcase. It's going to be a great experience. They've handled everything great, very professional. And it's going to be a great experience, not only for us, but for Rumson as well, and all the teams playing in it. So we're really looking forward to that. We have been the Rutgers the past couple of years. Back in 2019, it didn't work out the way we wanted to. So we've always had it in the back of our minds where we'd love to get back to Rutgers and just play a game there. So we're looking forward to that. And Rumson, us and Rumson, we've kind of built a little rivalry over the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
Even my first year, in 2017, we lost in the semifinals of the Group 3 playoffs, and it was up at Rumson. And Coach Schulte up there and their entire staff, I have so much respect for them, and the way they handle themselves and the way they run their program. I think, I hope, there's mutual respect on both sides there. And we're just really looking forward to getting out there and competing in that game. And like I said, it's going to be a great experience for everyone involved. RBC, a non-conference game. Um, we're anytime we can play, a team of that caliber. We always get excited for that. Haven't played RBC in a couple years, so definitely looking forward to that challenge, and that one's on the road. And then we get into 3 division games. Toms River North, Colts Neck, and Donovan Catholic. And like I said, every week it's almost like a gauntlet. And it's no disrespect to any other teams, but there's never a week off. We've all been in a schedule where it might be a little bit easier on one week, but tougher in another week. This is we need our A game every single week. One thing that I always talk to our players about, I always say 2 words on Monday in our team meeting. It's focus and preparation. Focus and preparation. We can't let outside factors distract us. All right, we have to stay focused. We go to school, do our schoolwork, go to practice, do our film study, and wake up and do it again the next day. So we have to stay focused, and we have to be prepared every single week. And that's what me and my coaching staff do. So that's a run right there. Of all division games with Toms River, North, Colts Neck, and Donovan. That's again a tough stretch. And then we actually had a bye on October 15th that I didn't want to buy. I didn't want to buy. I wanted to fill that. Being ranked where we were last year is almost a blessing and a curse at the same time, because I found that not everyone is going to want to play you. Some teams are going to want to scrimmage you, but not everyone's going to want to play you. Lenape happened to have a bye week that same week, and I kind of reached out to them. And they loved it. They jumped at the opportunity. I think they finished in the top 10 last year in the state. So it's it's an out of conference game, but it is a high quality opponent that we're really looking forward to. We're really looking forward to. We do. I know the Shore Conference is doing the pod play again, which I think is great. A great experience, great opportunity for all the teams in the Shore to have a chance to fight and battle for that championship. And then our state games, state playoffs. With in the Group 3. One thing that I always do, and Coach, you're missing one game on there, and one thing I always do because of the mentality is we want to play 13 games. Going into every year, we want to play 13. So after our Thanksgiving Day game, I put it on our schedule just as a mindset, as a mentality. We want to play 13. We want to have 13 game schedule. And we talk about this once. We look at the schedule one time. That's it. We make our goals one time. That's it. And that meeting is usually in June. After that, we don't talk about the schedule. We talk about us. We talk about our day-to-day operations. We talk about winning the day. We don't spend our time focusing on what's going to happen in September, October, November, December. We spend our time focusing on that day, that practice, that weight room session. And I think that's just, the right mentality to have. That's what I believe in. That's the mentality that I, portray to the guys. And, just like in any kind of leadership role, everything's going to trickle down. So I say focus. Don't focus on our first game. Focus on today's practice. And let's make this practice the best that we can. And when we do that, we try to stack the days, and we come out and do it all over again the next day.
Wow, that's that's an interesting schedule, Coach. It really is. I got one question though. How did you get your opponent at the Rumble on the Raritan? Yes, they asked you to play, but did they connect you with a team already, or did you just tell them we'll play and let's get an opponent? How did Rumps and you both connect?
Yeah, that was actually them. That was actually them. That was the organization, the Rumble on the Raritan. They had set that up because when the question was asked to me, it wasn't "Do you want to play?" The question was, "Do you want to play Rumson at Rutgers for the Rumble on the Raritan?" So again, the rivalry that we built, the respect that I like to think, the respect that both programs
Mm-hmm.
have for each other. Um, we're excited, and I've talked to Jerry and Coach Schulte and a couple of their coaches, and we're both excited about the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We're both competitive, and we're both looking forward to it.
And coach, you do know that with winning and the way you have been winning, and with the caliber players you have a target on your back. You do, just like any other program would. And you being the number one ranked team in the state last year, nobody's going to feel sorry for you for having a tough schedule or different situations. I look at that game playing on Sunday. That's not too many teams play on a Sunday because usually on a Sunday is a rest day. No.
Correct. Yeah, I give we go Monday to Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday's typically an off day.
Yeah, so I mean that's going to be different for both you guys. Plus, you're playing in a different environment, which you want to, because that's a great showcase, and rightfully so. Both great programs, so that'll be a little different. And I'm sure you're going to have to probably prepare your practices leading up to it to mean a little different because Sundays are usually watching pro games and all that stuff. So I'll be at that game. I'm going to have fun. I'm glad you're playing it. I'll tell you that. And so are the fans probably throughout the state. So you have to be excited though to be playing in that type of a game.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, it was an honor to get the call and just to be a part of it. I mean, there's some great teams. There's some great matchups that weekend. And we're just thankful, grateful to be a part of that.
Right here, if you could do me a favor and just mention the glue to your football program, the guys that are beloved by your football players is your football assistant coaches, and they make head football coaches look great all the time. Your name's always in the paper. You gotten coach of the year and all that stuff, but you know as well as I do that they are a big reason why you got all those accolades, coach. So let's hear some names of your coaches.
Absolutely. Like I said earlier, it's any of the awards that I've gotten or the team has gotten. They're all we awards. They're not me awards. Yeah. So I'm the head coach. I call the offense, and I coach the offensive line. Then I have my defensive coordinator is Jeremy Bellina. He also coaches inside linebackers. Then for quarterbacks, I have Mike Sermonero. Running backs is Bob Grace. Wide receivers and tight ends is Fred Springle. I take care of the O line. The defensive line is Tim Heaney and James Cadigan. Inside linebackers, Jeremy Bellina, like I mentioned. Outside linebackers is Tom Daly. Defensive backs, I have Joe LaFrelita and Chris Quinlan. And then I have three freshman coaches. Victor Rivera is the head freshman coach, along with Dan Shine and Matt McDonough. Like I said before, I know I'm biased, but this group of men are, I think, the best coaching staff around, the best coaching staff in the state. I would not replace any of them. And part of the key to our success is not only these great coaches, it's the fact that we've been together now. Most of them, we're going on 5 years now. Together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's huge. I think that there's a handful of guys in the building that help me, with the accountability for the players.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great mix. We have a lot of fun, at practice. We're all very competitive. We all love football. We've all played, have had careers in college. So I just think the experience of this group, of this coaching staff, and knowledge, and just the chemistry that we have is, I wouldn't replace them for anyone.
Coach, one question. You being the head football coach and expertise with the offense, the O line, I know you like to throw the football as a quarterback and do all that stuff, but having a D coordinator like you do with Coach Bellina, I hope I said the name right, with such an outstanding reputation, and the results have been, I mean, how can you argue he's one of the top D coordinators out there? Having him run the defense, how much easier does it make you as a head football coach knowing that you're okay with the defensive side of the ball because of his input throughout the years?
Well, absolutely, and that's one thing as a head football coach. You have to realize that you can't do everything, and you have to hire the right people and surround yourself with good people that buy into your vision. I mean, Jeremy is the amount of trust that I have in Jeremy Bellina. it's through the roof. I can't even put a number on it. I trust him. I believe in him and his philosophy and his strategy. I'm not a micromanager. I'm not going to hover over him, and ask him every little detail. Do we talk? Of course we talk. We talk more personnel than anything, and where we're putting guys and how much playing time certain guys are getting. But the amount of trust that I have in him, and not just him, all the rest of the guys on the defensive staff, they all have been working together now for 5 years, some even more. But it's just a lot of trust. And if speaking on how it helps me, not only does it help me as a head coach, but it helps me as an offensive coordinator calling the plays. There's going to be some times where I might take a risk because of the confidence that I have in him and his staff and the defensive unit.
Yeah, I mean, get him 3 points, and you're sitting pretty good with that defense, coach. I mean, that's got to be. You're right. Your play calling is a lot more comfortable when you know that you're okay on the other side of the ball. Okay, now comes the fun part, coach. The players. All right, I'm going to ask you to talk about your 2021 Wall football team, but before you do that, just tell us a little bit what you run offensively, defensively, and then talk about all these key returning starters that you got that's getting you real excited about the 2021 season. Go ahead.
So offensively, I guess you could say we're a power spread. We will spread you out, but we do like to run the football. Defensively, we run a 3-4 defense. And like you said, we have some guys coming back. We have roughly 17 or 18. I can't put the exact number on it, but it's roughly 17 or 18 guys coming back, starters coming back. We have some 1-year starters, returning starters, and then there's 3 guys on this team that are entering their 4th year starting. So we're going back to the 2018 season where they've been starting, and the first guy is the defensive player of the year last year for the state, and that's Charlie Sasso. Charlie has taken every snap on defense for us the past 3 years. Tremendous player, great nose for the football, great instincts at linebacker. Also plays fullback and tailback for us. But he's going to taking his talents to Monmouth next year, and he'll be playing linebacker there. 2 other guys that are 4-year starters. The other one is an offensive lineman, Brian Byrne. He didn't start every game for us his freshman year, but we brought him in, I think 2 or 3 games in, and he's been starting ever since. He's played guard, he's played tackle. Past 2 years, he's played center. So Brian's a fantastic offensive lineman. Very, very technical, great technique, very physical, tough kid. And then the third one is our outside linebacker. And again, he plays running back as well, but mostly outside linebacker. And that would be Colin Riley. He played, some outside linebacker for us his freshman year, and then has started every game for us his sophomore and junior year as well. Those 3 guys right there, they're 4-year starters, and I know, to have a 4-year starter, to have 1 4-year starter is something special.
Yeah.
To have 3 of them is very unique. And then, then we get into our 3-year starters, where we do have a handful of those guys. With Matt Dolliv on the offense and defensive side of the ball, and wide receiver and defensive back, and Blake Rezick, our tight end and defensive end. Those 2 guys have been a huge part of everything that we've done. On the offensive line, we also have Max Oakley, who started a little bit his sophomore year and then started every game for us last year and will be a returning starter this year.
He's also a kicker too, right?
He's our kicker, yeah, a very talented kicker.
Yeah, pretty talented for a lineman to be punter and kicker.
So, I don't want Max to watch this and get too big of a head, but Max is one of our better athletes. When you see him at practice running around, you would never guess that he's our left tackle. Very talented kid. So again, he's our a 3-year starter coming back. We have Billy Carr on the offensive line that is a junior, and he'll be a 2-year starter. So we have some experience. Mike Fumarola at linebacker is a 2-year starter. He'll be a 2-year starter for us. Linebacker and running back. Lou Pilla at tight end and outside linebacker. Jake Davis as strong safety, coming back for us. There's a lot of guys that are returning, but when you have returning starters, you also have kids that are hungry and that want to get out onto the field. So in the spots where we don't have a returner or we graduated a starter, there's juniors and seniors and some sophomores mixed in there that are fighting day in and day out, whether it's weight room or on the practice field, fighting and competing to get that starting job. And as well as I do, when you're competing in practice, competition breeds excellence. And I preach it all the time. We got to compete. Iron sharpens iron. All those fun sayings that I have. But it's great to see, and it's just great to see the maturity of some kids as sophomores, where you weren't sure where they're going to be and how they're going to develop. Now you see them as seniors, and they're right in the mix, right in there battling. We got great competition going on right now at the quarterback spot, at a couple spots for offensive line, some wide receiver spots, some defensive back spots. We're hopefully getting a little depth on the defensive line. It's a very competitive environment every single day, and camp is going to be no different.
It's funny. I bet you that you could probably tell the kids to show up at the park on Sunday, and somehow they have enough of plays in to probably scrimmage somebody right now, because you have so many guys back. They probably know the plays. They're probably staying in shape, and they probably know exactly what you're going to say before you say it. And those are the type of kids you have. You have a lot of kids with the same body type too. Like insert him here, there, and that's a great thing. Very athletic looking linebacker, DN type of guys in your program. That must be exciting. Now you got guys probably going to play a little bit on the other side of the ball too, because you missed a couple kids, and not too bad at running backs, Sasso and Riley. You may have other names too, but I mean, I would have a feeling they're pretty good running backs that are probably chomping the bit to be, doing the same thing what Casey Larkin did.
Right. And, Casey was so versatile, where he was, in the backfield. He was split out where, we would move him around a lot. So do we have some running backs? Yeah, we do. We have some running backs that are really, like you said, chomping at the bit to get out on that field. And there's also a couple of receivers. One guy I forgot to mention was Jack Cohen. He's been playing for us. He's a 2-year starter as well. So, there's guys that, do we have Casey Larkin? No, we don't. But, we have guys that are stepping up in roles where, Casey would have been. And, it makes us a little more versatile, where, there's guys all over the field, spread out all over the field, that can be dangerous.
Yeah, you could spread the ball around a little bit. Yes, you don't have Casey Larkin, but you have other guys that elevated their play. And now they're going to be other household names, which they already are. These guys, all of them are all division, and some of them were all short, some of them were all state. And have them all back in the same locker room, graduating a couple kids only, it's got to excite, your whole program and breed confidence to the sophomores now that are coming up. Have you noticed that the sophomore kids now are excelling a little bit more because they're being coached up by, the leaders of your team too?
So, one thing, Coach, and I'm going to talk about with this senior group, I'll really stress the seniors. This class of 22, that's your like the 3 guys I mentioned, the 4-year starters, the Charlie Sasso, Colin Riley, Brian Byrne. Not only those guys, this group, I have 26 seniors. They are fantastic leaders. Fantastic leaders. They know what the standard is. They know my standard and expectations. So when you say the sophomores, you know how sophomores are. You know how they can be. But they have this senior group to look up to. And this senior group, we don't yell and scream at them and make them do, crazy things that sophomores have to do. They teach them. And they tell them this is what we expect from you. This is what coach is going to expect from you. So, that plays into the big picture of what I wanted to start at Wall and build at Wall, and that's the tradition. Because when those sophomores are seniors, they're going to be doing it to their sophomores. And there's that. I always say, you wear a split W on your helmet. You have something to live up to. Um, and I really think we have that. And like I said, I can't stress enough how important this senior group has been to the program, and with their leadership, it's fantastic.
Wow. That was a pretty impressive, Coach, interview you gave me uh, from your Wall program, man. It was a pleasure to have you on this show. It really was. Um, not just me, but everybody in the shore is excited to see you guys play again because you do play an exciting brand of football. You got to just root for you guys, and you'll be playing in that showcase game where it's two shore teams playing, which the shore is very proud of that. And hopefully you stay healthy and go on another run, Coach, because that's your goal is to play 13 and all that stuff.
Yep.
So sounds like you got everything in place. Outstanding coaching staff. Your culture's all there. The grind. Your workouts from last year that are probably still helping them out, and some pretty decent football players that everybody out there knows. So I want to thank you for coming on the show. I really do.
I appreciate you having me, and thanks for all the kind words. And we're looking forward to the season. We're looking forward to the challenge, and hopefully carrying on the tradition that we built.
I'll be doing my watch list, which is the top players in the short conference, top 25 in each position, and a lot of these kids are already on it. I'm going to announce it in 2 weeks, and a couple more too. So they're fun to cover. It seems like they're good kids too, on and off the field, which makes for a great championship culture. It really does, Coach.
And that's one thing that I always want to stress is, I want good football players, obviously, but I want to graduate young men that are responsible. That not everyone's going to play college football, but everyone's going to have a job. Everyone, be a husband, be a father. And I just want responsible young men and good young men that and I want to stay in touch with them and see their progress throughout life.
Yes. Now, when is your workout video going to be posted where people can buy it, like the Fonda workout way back in the day?
Believe me, even if I posted it, nobody's going to want it.
One of those kids must have filmed it, Coach. They must have filmed it.
Whatever they're on Snapchat, Instagram, I don't know what they do, but whatever they do, I'm sure there's a couple pictures.
That'd be a great fundraiser. Come see Coach Sweat and work out with the team, and I'm sure you can raise a couple of $1,000 off of that. But Coach,
hopefully no one taking your advice on that one.
A lot of respect here, Coach, and once again, thank you. You need anything, theshorefootballreport.com will be following you guys, and this video will be out tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning. So while you guys are practicing, it's going to be out for all you guys to see, and pretty proudly you can watch and all that. So wishing you the very best, Coach.
I appreciate it. Thanks again for having me.
Thank you very much.